The concept of the first Chevrolet Volt was simple: drive 40 miles or so on battery power alone and eliminate range anxiety with a gas-powered generator, meaning you could drive to Duluth at the drop of a hat. The second gen adds refinement and efficiency, looking less like a mashup of Camaro and Science Experiment and more like a Honda Civic, with braces. I always admired the engineering of the first generation Voelk powertrain so much that, full disclosure, I recently bought one in a Cadillac ELR. The second gen system is even more impressive. Let's start with the 4-cylinder engine. Slightly larger, it's 100 pounds lighter and drinks standard grade gas now. The two motor generators, buried under here, are much closer in size to each other this time. Volt's lithium-ion battery pack still runs down the spine, but with fewer cells is lower and lighter. Completely spent, it charges in 13 hours on 110 current or 4.5 on 220. I will admit that I sometimes leave the charge port door open, sort of like walking around with your fly open. A new feature gives you a heads up. Volt's tech is a geek's feast, but what makes it great, right down to the shift lever, is that it feels like driving a normal car. Volt is nice and punchy in city driving. 0 to 30 takes about 2.5 seconds. That's pretty quick. Our friend Torque gets the credit. Electric motors have plenty off the line. The run to 60 is quicker than the outgoing Volt. At about 8.5 seconds, it's no Tesla in ludicrous mode. Very quiet, a Buick badge wouldn't feel out of place. The ride quality is set up towards comfort. You'll notice a little bit of body roll in corners, but there is road feel, and the Volt is actually fairly engaging to drive. The substantial mass is felt in hard cornering. Coasting and braking sends voltage back to the battery pack. This engages more aggressive power regeneration. Drive carefully, and the brake pedal is seldom used. In optimal weather, GM says the electric-only range is about 53 miles. Temperature has been hovering in the mid-30s during my week with Volt. That, of course, affects the performance of the battery pack. Still, driving like a normal person, not babying it, I'm getting about 45 miles out of it. That's city driving. At freeway speeds, range dropped to 40. Okay, just made the jump from battery power only to gas powered generator. Unless you're really paying attention, you may not notice. You will hear the engine though when you accelerate hard up hills. Still, it's very quiet. My guess is that you can't hear it off my microphone. Guesstimated gas fuel economy is about 40 miles per gallon if, for some reason, you never charge Volt up. Occasionally, say on steep mountain grades, the gas engine directly powers the drive wheels because it's more efficient. Chevrolet's dual cockpit design continues the concept of keeping Volt normal. The Tomorrowland touch surface is replaced with honest-to-goodness buttons and knobs. Plastics are hard, but of high quality. Anybody else see a nod to BMW in this color? The user interface is refreshingly crisp and straightforward. Plug an iPhone into the USB jack, and Apple CarPlay offers clear, simplified operation. Volt has never been known for expansive backseat room. I'm 5'9", I'm snug, but comfortable. The outgoing car was strictly a 4-seater. Someone can now sit in the middle position. I would prefer it not to be me. Heated seats are available. It's not as well trimmed back here. Bring the carpool gang along for the test drive to gauge the space. The glass panel that improved rearward visibility is gone now, but one thing remains. Volt is a practical hatchback. Seats do the usual hatchbacky stuff. It's easier to access the charge cord now. There is no spare. That's not uncommon these days. The open liftgate is a reach for smaller folks. Storage is about average at 5 packs. Volt is now easier on the eyes and the checkbook, starting at about $34,000 or $40,000 as tested before the $7,500 federal tax credit. The strongest case against this car? Cheap gasoline. For those who simply want to use a lot less of it, the refined Volt makes electric car ownership a worry-free experience. All right, I'm not going to do a documentary on this car, but there is so much more to this vehicle. It's very deep. An example, drive modes help with efficiency. If you know that you're going to tap the gas engine on a trip, hold is good for freeway driving. It forces the generator on, then you can switch to electric power for urban driving once you arrive. Switching to low does nothing to gear ratios, it just puts Voelk into a more aggressive regen mode for easier one-pedal driving. First-gen Voelk and ELR owners often scrape the aero skirt on speed bumps and driveways. That's less of an issue now. Less high-tech is a secure slot to store phones out of the way. Word is CarPlay will soon be available via Bluetooth, and it is expected that Android Auto will be added to Voelk soon. This premier model has a heated wheel. Word is adaptive cruise control will be available on 2017 models this spring. For those who are curious, and there seems to be a bunch of you, here are snapshots of my ELR. I took delivery in early December. As of mid-February, it has never visited a gas station. And so you know, I did not get any kind of deal from General Motors. Basically, I used Cars.com to find the best deal throughout the country on a very specifically equipped car. After the federal tax credit, my cost was less than half of the 81 grand MSRP, even with shipping. I bought it from a dealer in Watertown, Wisconsin. I just couldn't pass up the deal. I highly recommend Centric Carriers. They did an awesome job of getting my car out to me quickly and safely, plus they were the best bid. Here's something cool. I watched it being transported across the country since OnStar can locate the car. There you go, gang. That is my opinion of the 2016 Chevrolet Voelk. Remember, the 2017 models coming out this spring will be available in all 50 states. Now, for those of you who are wondering if I have buyer's remorse with the ELR because of the second generation Voltec powertrain, no, I do not. For one thing, I got a screaming deal on it, and second of all, I love the design of the ELR. I have always loved the design. It is a home run. So I am very happy with my purchase. That's Driven. I'm Tom Voelk.